Hello everyone and welcome to website development, 9 phases of a website development process. First of all, let me ask you a question. What do you think? What does a website development process consist of? What are all the little things that we don't want to forget? For example, we may want to buy the domain name, and maybe we want to buy a hosting, we need to program our website, etc., etc. So here is my attempt to represent all the 9 phases of website development process. As you can see here, it all starts with thinking and research and analysis. We need to know where we are, right? And then we try to define where we want to go and how to get there. In other words, we define our website plan. After that, we purchase our domain name, the name of our website, and the hosting. And these 3 phases really are the big step 1 of preparation. After the preparation, we will start developing a prototype of a website. Then we will code the website, create the website, develop the content. And this blue color represents the doing part. So this was thinking and planning and preparation, and this is really doing and developing. And after we develop a website, we also need to test it and launch it and share with the world, which is the big step 3. Or phases 7, 8, and 9, testing, launching, and promoting a website. In this presentation, I'm going to try to tell you more about each of the 9 phases, but keep in mind that every single phase can be further extended, and I'm going to just brief you, I'm going to just give you summary of all the 9 steps. So first of all, it all starts with research and analysis. We always need to start with company's big picture, with company's strategic plan and marketing plan, and it always starts with a mission and vision statement, situation analysis, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, or maybe 5 C's analysis. What is 5 C's? Company, then competition, then consumer or customer, then context or environment, and then finally collaborators. So once we understand the 5 C's of your business, we can move on and define our strategic objectives or strategic goals. Then understand the marketing strategies, segmenting, targeting, and positioning, develop our marketing mix, and finally, compare our website with our competition. In other words, we need to understand how is our competition doing and how are we doing compared to our competition. So this phase 1 is really thinking and understanding where the company is right now and what company's strategic goals are. Once we understand the big picture, we can move on and define our website plan. And the website plan can be 1-page document if you want to, or it could be 10 to 20-page document. But the most important components of any website plan are your website objectives. You need to define your target traffic. How many people do you want to see on your website? Number of maybe customers or subscriptions, number of new leads, conversion rates, target visibility. Do you want to be, for example, among the top 10 results on Google? The amount of or volume of online sales, etc. Those are your most important objectives. And then you need to define your own keys to success. Every single website has different formula for success. So this is what I call success formula or keys to success. What is your key to success? Well, in some cases it could be lots of content on the website, optimizing your website for search engines and doing pay-per-click advertising. What is your own formula for success? So that's the second component of a website plan. And finally, the third component is the action plan. In other words, you need to specify what are you going to do and when. You can do it with a very simple table in Excel with columns specifying the name of the activity, then who is responsible, second column, and then the third column, by when is this activity going to be completed. Or you can do more complex action plan like this one using some of the tools for project management, and you can illustrate your plan visually, specifying the beginning and the end date of each activity, etc., etc. So far we have done research and analysis, phase 1, and we have created a website plan, phase 2. The next step is to purchase a domain name and a hosting for your future website. Purchasing the domain name and the hosting can be done on a website like GoDaddy, for example. You can buy domain name here and hosting. And what is a hosting? Well, it's a place where you host and save and store all of the pictures, images, everything from your website. So GoDaddy can be used to purchase a domain name, also a hosting. But what I do personally, I purchase the domain name from GoDaddy, and then I buy a hosting from a company like HostGator. And if you purchase a hosting from HostGator, you're also going to receive a special coupon to advertise on Google. Or you can buy a hosting from a company like, for example, Corax, specialized company that deals with hosting. The nice thing about purchasing a hosting from Corax or HostGator is that you can also buy your domain name at the same place, so that you don't have to worry about connecting your website domain name and the hosting. Once again, if you purchase the domain name and the hosting from the same company, then it's relatively simple to proceed with the website development process, because you do not have to worry about connecting your domain name and the hosting. Now, in case that you have bought the domain name and the hosting from two different companies, then you need to do proper setup. If you bought, for example, your hosting from a company like HostGator and you bought your domain name from GoDaddy, then you need to do one more thing when setting up your website. When you go to GoDaddy, log in, you will be given this screen. You need to click on Launch to launch your domain names. And then you will notice that when you go to your domain name, like for example, my domain name here is whereispuck, it says here name servers. That's where you need to specify this particular code that you will be given from HostGator when you buy your hosting. And you need to insert this code for HostGator. That will tell GoDaddy that your website is being hosted with HostGator. So really you need to connect your domain name and the hosting, and that's all. And you change it by clicking here, Manage. The step 4, or the phase 4 of website development process, is prototype design. So note how many phases actually precede the actual coding and creating of the website. First we do a research, and then we plan, and then we buy the domain name, and then we don't start yet, but we define and design the future model of a website, prototype design. Only after that we can proceed with the coding. This actually reminds me of a client who wanted me to design a website, and when I asked my client, so when do you need that website for? He said, we need it for yesterday. And then I said, so why do you need a website? And then he said, well, you know what, we just wasted $10,000. Our previous website designer did very poor job, and we had to trash the previous version of our website, completely trash it, and we want to start all over again. And then it occurred to me that actually the failure with their previous website was probably due to lack of time and lack of planning. So I had to basically educate my client and explain that they probably didn't do research and analysis, planning, anything like that. They might have not even had a prototype design that they would first approve and then move on to creating the website. So I said, well, we cannot create a website for you in a couple of days. It's going to take a couple of weeks, at least a couple of months. And then I sort of bought time, and I convinced my client that we need a plan. We need to do research and the plan and everything, and then buy the domain name and hosting in case they need a new one. Design a future model of a website, and only then we can create the website and start coding. So my client had to agree, and Fortunately, that was a good decision, and he's still very active with that almost pretty much the same website. So we are now at the phase 4, prototype design. And the prototype design actually includes creating a sitemap. There are a couple of tools that you're going to learn about. The next tool is called Site Blueprint, and then the next one, Wireframe, and we have a visual layout of a website. So all those 4 are kind of 4 tools that can help you develop a model or a prototype of a future website. So sitemap is actually a graphical description of the relationship between different groups of content on a website. In other words, you have different groups of content here, about group or page, services, for example, location, login, contact, whatever. And then under the about you have some sections or some sub-pages like team and projects, etc., etc. So you have to give it some thought together with your client or your manager and decide what the future structure of your website is going to look like. And then the next step is called Site Blueprint, which is kind of taking your sitemap to the next level and showing all the relationships between different pages and or processes. Like, for example, that's actually exactly the same client. We needed to design the whole process of purchasing and shopping on my client's website. We had lots of ideas, but before we started coding, we wanted to make it very clear for everyone what the shopping process is going to consist of. So, for example, here at the end there will be a thank you note, an email sent to the client, print out of the invoice and everything. At the beginning, someone will be able to choose different categories to enlarge the product photo, choose the price, color, time, all little details that one needs to think about. So as you can see here, we have the whole process and the relationship between various steps in that process. So this particular image helped us a lot, because we knew exactly what we wanted to create. So that was Website Blueprint. And then the next one is Website Wireframe. Very useful tool. And Website Wireframe is actually a layout of an individual page. So now that we have defined the structure of a website or website architecture, we need to define the layout of every single individual page. For example, you might want to put a log out and login button here in the right upper corner, or maybe put some image here on the home page, some welcome message. Maybe you're gonna put here something to share or to email. So really you start thinking what is going to be placed on each page of your website. Once again, this is called Website Wireframe. And fortunately, there are a couple of tools for successful wireframing, like for example, GoMockingbird.com. GoMockingbird.com. Very useful tool. Let me show you how it works. You go to GoMockingbird.com and try it now. And then you are actually being given something like a board that you can easily adjust and change. For example, I just added these 2 buttons, right? And this button might be called Contact Us, or what was that, Services, for example, button. And then I can add maybe one more button in my navigation. So once again, this is just a model. It's not a visual look of a future website, but it is just a layout of a future website. And let me find what I can do. I can put search here, right? I like to have search on my website, and shopping cart as well, just to give an idea to my designer, who will then later design a website based on my sort of specifications. And I was looking for a button here, so let me see button. Yes, there is another button here. That's going to be my, for example, Contact Us button. Login. maybe, and then contact us button as well, one more button here. Such an easy tool to use, and it helps actually focus your thinking and guide your thinking. So contact button as well, and then maybe I can change this message. Well, let's leave it for now as a welcome. I don't know if I need a map here because I'm going to have a location page anyway, so I'm gonna trash this. But what I'm going to do, just let me see what other ideas I have here on the left. Let me see if there is anything useful here. Yes, I might have some ads here, right? I'm gonna actually sort of move them a little bit here. And so this will be some special promotions, sort of. And let me see, do I have any other ideas? I do need to have a share button, and I'm gonna put it here, right, on the right. Of course, once again, that just gives a rough idea to my designer what I'm really looking for. This arrow I won't need, so I'm gonna delete it. The text is going to be actually placed here, whatever that text is. And you can put some text also here. So that is just a starting point, but at the same time I may want to think about my about page, right? And really start from scratch designing about page here, go back to my home page and continue thinking about my website. Once again, this is a wireframing tool. It helps you create a mock-up of a future website, and the URL is gomockingbird.com. Finally, you also need to create a visual layout of a future website. That's where you start thinking about the images and colors and fonts. So your thinking is much more detail oriented. So at this stage, you will want to hire a professional graphic designer who doesn't have to be a programmer, but he's familiar with Photoshop and some other tools like Adobe, which will help him create satisfactory image of a future website. If you really want to do it by yourself on a relatively small budget, you can use the website called Wix, Wix.com, and when you go there you choose templates, and there you can find lots of templates to choose from, and you can actually edit those templates. Let me show you that. I'm going to move on to the next page just to find my template, the one that I like. Oh, let's say that my company is a moving company or something like that, and I supposedly like this template. I'm going to just click on that template and click on edit this site. And guess what? Now I have so-called HTML5 editor, which helps me design the future look of my website. For example, I can even sort of change this image, or maybe enlarge it or reduce it. I can change the text here, right? Whatever that new text is. I can change the navigation here. My navigation could say my menu. I can rename the pages. I can maybe move the about page before my services page, just an example. So I have quite a large degree of flexibility in terms of what I can do in this editor. As you can see here, there are various tools. For example, I can add various pages or images or media and buttons on menus on my website. I can add some applications. So this tool really gives me power to create the visual layout of my future website. So this was Wix.com, HTML5 editor that helps you create the visual look of your future website. So basically, now that we have defined and designed the prototype, we can have our manager or a client approve it. And then we can move on to finally code and develop or create our website. When coding a website, I like to recommend to hire an experienced programmer, preferably in different skills, experienced in different skills like HTML, PHP maybe, also familiar with creating a website in WordPress or some other CMS, content management system. But you can also decide to create your own website with a tool like Wix, the one that I showed you, or a WordPress. WordPress is so-called CMS, content management system, that enables you to create your own self-updatable website. So this is a WordPress.com, and this is where you can get started to create your own easy-to-make website. And now there are millions of websites on the internet, really sophisticated websites created through WordPress.com or WordPress.org platform. Once again, this is called CMS, Content Management System. Phase 6, creating the content or writing, taking pictures and writing the copy for your future website. Get the content from the company's marketing team or hire a professional copywriter. It is really important that you pay special attention to each and every word on your website. Every detail matters, and that's how you create an image of professionalism. It is also very important that you pay attention to testing of your website. There is always something to fix, there are always little things, so please plan time for testing of your website. One of the things that you do want to test is testing the look of your website on different platforms, on different computers, mobile phones, tablets, but also on different browsers. For example, this one can help you actually test the look of your website on iPad, on Apple iPhone, on Android mobile devices, but also on Internet Explorer, Firefox, and finally Chrome browser. So test your website before you go live. Phase 8, launch of your website. Before you finally launch your website, do so-called soft launch. So you do have a new website and it's online, it's live, but you don't announce it to everyone, right? But just wait for a couple of weeks just in case. Let them test it one more time, right? And maybe some people will report some problems. And then once you fix all and correct all the little things one more time, then launch publicly and finally start promoting your website, which is the final step, step 9. We have already talked about promotion. There are many things that you can do. For example, you can share your URL with your clients. You can email them. You can share your web address through social media, for example. You can do search engine optimization and link building and pay-per-click and many other promotional tactics that are available. So that really depends on your plan on how you will promote your website. So these are really the 9 steps of website development process, the 9 phases of website development process. Once again, they consist of research and plan and purchase of a domain name and hosting, of a prototype design, coding, developing the content, testing, launching, and finally promoting your website. Well, this is about it when it comes to website development process. There is much more to say about each stage, but that's coming in the next presentations. Thank you for watching.